You know, sometimes the most important moments in our lives don't happen with any big dramatic fanfare. Instead, they creep in quietly, almost like shy little children coming into the room, afraid to be heard. Maybe it's a small shift in the chest or a moment where something inside just whispers, "This is true." I call these moments a time of recognition when, if we pay attention, if we hear ourselves again, often after a very long time of not hearing ourselves at all, then something significant can move inside us. See, I grew up in a house where books weren't just coffee table decorations. They were, well, they were intrinsic to our family life and they were everywhere. They weren't just under shelves that bowed under the weight of the books. They were in stacks across the floor. They even piled up in the stairs. They were even in the toilet. You see, my father was not just an economist, he was also a poet, which is something of a combination that makes more sense when you see exactly how he wrote. He would sit really quietly with a pencil. He would stare at a half finished sentence and then, with extraordinary care, he'd cross out a single word and replace it with something cleaner, with something straighter, with something, I think, that was more truthful. Because he believed that clarity wasn't some kind of stylistic choice, it was a moral choice. And I absorbed all of that, not consciously, but deeply. And yet, for all of that richness in our family home, for all of that literary flair, something else happened in that house. You see, my father became very ill, seriously ill, when I was just 9 years old, and the whole atmosphere changed. We all spoke more deeply. We became more open. And I realized, without anyone really explaining it, that honesty carries a kind of weight and that direct communication matters more than we perhaps believe. These moments of recognition begin that way too, not with some earth shattering kind of a breakthrough, but with a quiet, unspoken truth that we finally allow ourselves to acknowledge and to truly feel. When I was 11, I tried to write a novel. I know it sounds naive, but I sat with a blank page on my knees, just convinced that the words would appear if I waited long enough for them. Not one single word came to me. And that was a terrifying blankness. It was an unforgiving silence. It felt more threatening than anything else that had previously happened in my life at that time, because you can fight illness, you can fight circumstances, but how do you fight the feeling that you have nothing to say? Recognition didn't come then. No, that came much later, after an effective collapse, after I lost almost everything, after I'd hit the age of 53. You see, there's something about collapse that strips away all the noise from within us, all of our pretense, all of our performances, internally and externally, all of our borrowed, our inherited truths. And what remains, however small, is real. See, when my life effectively fell apart, my recognition wasn't in some dazzling moment of God-given enlightenment. It was simply the quiet truth that I could no longer ignore. And strangely, almost magically, that was also the beginning of finding my direction again. Because here's what I learned. And I learned it the hard way. In life, our direction is recognized. Then it's refined, and then it's reimagined. The direction in life doesn't come through brute force. It doesn't arrive just because we demand clarity. No, it comes the moment we stop posturing and start listening, listening to others and listening to ourselves, because recognition is a return. It's a return to ourselves. So if you're perhaps in a moment of uncertainty right now, then I want to say this to you. Don't panic at the truth, and don't rush to avoid that truth. Don't try to think your way into some sort of new life. Just listen. Not to the whirligig outer world, but inwards. Because recognition arrives quietly, but it always arrives.